Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels, and the work week has started, so we've gone back to getting these out as early as possible. So, a few things before we get started here, real quick. First of all, as always, folks, if you ever want to go ahead and follow along with these videos, you can find the document that we are going over there in the description. Just click on the link. Also, we include the link every single time of the Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center petition. Bleh. Also, folks, I am starting to include the first video of the entirety of these barrage of videos of the JRC as to why I'm digging into this once again. So please click on that video. It is triggering. It does display vivid images of torture, so please do not watch while children are present. Also, folks, when we are talking about the JRC, we are going to be talking about some varied descriptions of torture of people with disabilities. So if you have young children in the room, please go ahead and use your headphones. All right, folks, apologies in advance if I happen to horribly mangle, as I am wont to do, any scientific terms or stumble over my words, which, let's face it, it's morning and I tend to do that. I do go ahead and apologize here in advance. So, without further ado, let's go to where we left off yesterday, which is Section 5.3.10, Media Reports and Other Public Information. 5.3.10.1, Published Reports. In the past several years, several media reports have been published regarding the use of the GED aversive conditioning device at the JRC. Within these reports, there have been claims of device misuse, pain, burns, and physical and psychological consequences, including depression, suicidality, and PTSD. At least 3 media reports were supportive of the use of ESDs. Remember, guys, that's the acronym for electric skin shock devices for aversive conditioning. It is important to note that these media reports are not systematically collected and may be inherently biased sources of information. They include varying levels of clinical expertise and were not peer-reviewed for accuracy. Still, they may contain important information about the benefits and risks of the device use, and information is included because the banning criteria require consideration of all available data and information. Right, so we move forward. 5.3.10.2, Report by Monitor Judge Isaac Bornstein, retired, on the Judge Rotenberg Education Center. Following an incident at JRC on August 26, 2007, in which 2 students received a significant number of inappropriate GED applications, Dr. Matthew Israel, then Executive Director of the JRC, was indicted by a special grand jury on charges of accessory after the fact and misleading an investigator or a witness on May 20, 2011. JRC then entered into a deferred prosecution agreement with the Massachusetts Attorney General that required the appointment of an independent monitor to review and assess the safety at JRC in connection with this incident and ensure a similar event would not recur. Judge Isaac Bornstein, retired, was retained as an independent monitor and issued the required report on February 22, 2013. The report explains that the incident was a result of a hoax perpetrated by a prior student and is not representative of standard practices at JRC. Bullshit, it's not. Bullshit. Tell that to Andre McCollins. It is included in this review because it reports sequelae of device use. The incident took place in the early morning hours of August 26, 2007. An individual later identified as a former student called into the residence and pretended to be a member of the quality control department of the facility. At the direction of the caller, staff administered 77 electric skin shocks GED-4 applications to one student and 29 applications to a second student. According to a medical report and other facility documentation, as a result of these applications, the first student sustained multiple red marks on his lower abdomen. During the application, he began shaking and breathing deeply. Staff observed that his skin was red. The student reported that his mouth was dry, blood pressure racing. He was sweating and he felt like he was about to have a stroke. He reported symptoms of pain, inability to breathe, and exhaustion. The second student sustained a stage 2 ulcer on his left calf, according to facility documentation. After the applications, the student reported his leg was killing him and asked to call a nurse. So here's the thing, folks. They're saying that, well, it was a prank. But here's the question. Why in the name of God would the staff simply automatically do the shocks, no questioning whatsoever about why this kid needs freaking 77 shocks in the first place? If everything was all fine and good, and if the staff was absolutely doing what they were supposed to do, don't you think they would have asked that question? Number 2, the fact that the staff just went ahead and complied without even blinking or thinking about it says that this is not the norm. I'm saying, blah, blah. It pretty much says that this is a regular occurrence, the norm, if they're not even blinking an eyelash at it. Just saying. So you can say that it's a prank all you want to, and maybe in this instance it was. But with the fact that the staff didn't even blink an eyelid for doing exactly what the caller said, begs one to question just how regular of an occurrence that many shocks being administered actually was at school, that they didn't even think to question it before administering them. Moving on. The report explicitly does not take position of the use of GED aversive treatments or make any recommendations on the appropriateness of the use of the GEDs at JRC. Okay, so we're going to make this video relatively short, which is good. I still got to finish getting ready for the workday here. 5.4 of Summary of Available Information, Benefits. 5.4.1, the available information on the benefits of ESDs for aversive conditioning to treat SIB, remember that's an acronym for self-injurious behavior, and assaultive destructive behavior associated with developmental disabilities, consists of published scientific literature, information provided to FDA, independent reports, information from other public agencies, public hearings, clinical interviews conducted by the FDA, and other sources of information, legal proceedings, and media. The published scientific literature represents the high-quality information available. However, the current literature suffers from the relative lack of scientific investigation conducted on electroskin shock devices for aversive conditioning to treat SIB and aggressive behavior. The absence of systematically conducted, well-controlled, prospective investigations, the prominence of retrospective case study reports, and the variable quality of those reports. In addition, the use of the alternative or adjunctive treatments was not well controlled in these reports. They're anecdotal. So even though the parents said, well, they just didn't work, as it is not peer-reviewed, how is the FDA supposed to take them seriously? In addition, the use of alternative or adjunctive treatments was not well controlled in these reports. Given the weakness of the available information, any controlled conclusions should be cautiously considered. Letters and case reports provided by the JRCPA state that there is evidence that the GED-3A or GED-4 device prevents the need for the routine physical and mechanical restraint or heavy sedation, protects patients from regular self-inflicted, in some cases life-threatening injury, and it allows them to spend time with their peers in the community and with family. On the risk side, there was no report that the GED-3A or GED-4 caused physical and emotional harm. The literature review and other sources of information, including the parent reports above, suggest that the short-term time period surrounding the treatment benefit is supported, while significant concerns exist about long-term effectiveness. The analysis also provided some support for magnitude and duration of effectiveness being related to the intensity of stimulation applied. Lower stimulation is associated with smaller magnitude and shorter duration. Such a conclusion would not completely agree with the NIH consensus statement regarding treatment of destructive behavior, 1989, which noted effectiveness of behavioral reduction methods both in the short term and for up to 2 years. However, the consensus statement applied to behavior reduction techniques in general and did not specifically pertain to ESDs for aversive conditioning. The FDA literature review results are similar to the two noted researchers in the field, Skinner and Levis, who also concluded that punishment methods, Skinner, and ESD for aversive conditioning, Levis, demonstrate short-term benefit but lack demonstrated long-term durability, which is what we went ahead and covered yesterday, folks. It makes no sense to continue a treatment that has no long-term effects. Just saying. You are treating the symptoms, not the problem. And you are torturing people to do it. It is what it is. This pretty much sums up what we just went through pretty damn well. So, I'm not going to go ahead and continue to do the usual rant. Part of the reason is because I'm still kind of partially brain dead. I'm not entirely awake yet. So that's all we got for this morning so far on this. I am going to be doing a video about JD versus AH. Warning, it's going to be a lot of ranting following this up. In the meantime, folks, I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, folks, we don't get that many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could be so kind, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, once again, folks, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.